So this is again, there's very few people that would think that the military mind should focus on, hey, I might have to adjust what I'm trying to get to. Because it seems like the military is, like, we're going to get this done. Like, no. This is the number one axiom he's talking about. Adjust your end to your means. Number 2, keep your object always in mind. Now, this is a dichotomy, right? Keep your object always in mind while adapting your plan to circumstances. Realize that there are more ways than one of gaining an object, but take heed that every objective should bear on the object. And in considering this, just real quick, if you as a leader can understand the fact that there's more ways than one of gaining an object, your life just got 1,000 times more easy. Just got 1,000 times easier. I've seen countless leaders think that they know the way and want to do something a certain way and waste time and effort and resources, and most important, waste leadership capital to get something done a certain way, when my attitude is like, I don't care. I don't care how you want to get this done. I don't care. This is what we want to get done. How do you want to do it? Cool. Sounds good. It's a viable plan. It's a minimally viable plan. Dave's plan, you know what? I might do it differently. Dave's plan looks like it could work too. Cool. And by the way, do we know your plan is going to work perfectly? No, we don't. Do I know my plan is going to work perfectly? No, we don't. So why am I going to invest a bunch of resources and time and effort and arguing and leadership capital trying to convince you to use my plan instead of your plan when they're both a freaking gamble? Don't waste your time.
Connecting those two, I guess, axioms together, or those fundamental things from a leadership standpoint of, and we even talked about this, from as a leader, showing people a path to the end state that might not happen today, might not happen tomorrow, but it's possible. If you're going to say, hey, let's bring it in the three of us, we're gonna be $100 million company, and I've got no way to show you how that's going to happen other than either just belief or faith or hope for a miracle, or hey, this one product, we're going to have this magical product and this is going to work. And I could also say, hey, listen, our goal, we want to be a $100 million company. But let me tell you what we're going to have to do. Right now, we're not. But we're going to do this and this. And that's going to allow us to bring in this other group, maybe getting an acquisition here. And you can start to lay out this path. And people, and I've seen it in those rooms where you see the leaders lay out the path to getting there. Not the exact steps we're going to take, but and all of a sudden people go, oh, yeah, we can do that. And that's going to lead to this. And then we bring in more people and we bring in more resources. We bring in another company that does this. Just laying out the steps so people in their minds understand, and I'm just saying this because of the word viable. The value of people saying, oh, that's actually not crazy. What you're saying is not this magic, crazy pipe dream. I can actually see how if we do this. And then if I, on that second step, as a subordinate leader, understand what you're trying to accomplish, and you're not here saying, turn left here, turn right here, do this, and not telling me what to do or how to do it, you're just telling me the end state that we want, then I actually get to be the one that drives us to that goal. That is actually so much more believable now because it's viable, because you laid that out, and then let me move towards that objective.
Here's a detail that I just picked up on. Taking what you said, when you said what I said back to me, and I was like, oh, there's an error in what I said. When I say a belief is seeing a path to victory, what it should actually be is seeing paths, plural, to victory. And the reason I thought of this is because as you're sitting here talking about, well, if I say, okay, Dave, we're going to make a $100 million company, and you go, oh, that sounds awesome. Cool. I'm in.
Yeah.
But how are we going to do that? And I lay out one single path to get us there. you know, that's cool and everything, but your faith in that is gonna go down a little bit. But if I say, hey, listen, here's our 5 different lines of operations, and here's what each one of these things are going to produce. And you know what? Chances are, Dave, 1 or 2 of these might fail completely. They're good ideas. I like them, but we haven't gone far enough down them to really understand. But we know that of these ideas, we have made some progress in all of them, and we see potential. So if 2 or 3 of these paths go the way we want them to, we're going to be right where we want to be. We're going to get that 100 million. So even, going back to the last podcast, having multiple avenues of approach is highly beneficial to your belief system.
Being distributed and how you go to an objective.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Having more than one objective, having more than one pathway to that objective.
Yeah.
And by the way, also saying, look, we might not make this one objective over here, but we're still going to get where we want to be. Same maxim here, continuing on. And in considering possible objectives, weigh their possibility of attainment with their service to the object if attained. To wander down a sidetrack is bad, but to reach a dead end is worse. So, especially if the dead end is the only pathway that you've got.
Yeah.
That's why having a couple different pathways is smart. Number 3, choose the line or course of least expectation. Try to put yourself in the enemy's shoes and think what course is least probable he will foresee or forestall. Number 4, exploit the line of least resistance. So long as it can lead you to any objective which would contribute to your underlying object. Right? Oh yeah, it's cool, path of least resistance, but it's got to be going in the right direction.
Right.
In tactics, this maxim applies to the use of your reserves, and in strategy, the exploitation of tactical success. Number 5, take a line of operation which offers alternative objectives. Okay, sorry, we went a little ahead on that one. For you will thus put your opponent on the horns of dilemma, which comes from the last podcast, which goes far to assure the chance of gaining one objective at least, whichever he guards least, and may enable you to gain one after the other. Because once you get one, like we make it in one line of operation, and now we made a bunch of money, cool. Guess what? We can invest in that other thing that was a little bit harder out of the gate, but now we have the money to spend on it and we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Alternative objectives allow you to keep the opportunity of gaining an objective, whereas a single objective, unless the enemy is helplessly inferior, means the certainty that you will not gain it once the enemy is no longer uncertain as to your aim. As soon as the enemy knows what you're doing, your chances of success go down dramatically, unless they're helplessly inferior. There is no more common mistake than to confuse a single line of operation, which is usually wise, with a single objective, which is usually futile. Number 6, and the last of the positive maxims, ensure that both plans and dispositions are flexible, adaptable to circumstances. And by dispositions, that's like where you're putting people. Your plan should foresee and provide for a next step in case of success or failure or a partial success, which is the most common case in war. Your dispositions or formation should be such as to allow this exploitation or adaptation in the shortest possible time. You know, people will argue and fight and struggle with trying to figure out how they're going to task organize a group of people. Like, well, no, actually, Dave, I think this person should report to Dave, and this person should report to Leif, and this person should report to me. We can argue about that stuff all day long. And by the way, you're pissed, I'm pissed, and guess what? It's our company. And I go, you know what, Dave? You go ahead. That person can report to you. Cool. That sounds good. And you look up at me in 2 weeks, and you're like, hey, this doesn't really make much sense. I go, okay, cool. They can report. You know, like, it's not set in stone. You don't get a tattoo on your forehead of your task organization. And by the way, it doesn't quote, look bad to say, hey, you know what, Fred, you're going to be working for Dave. And then a month later say, hey, Fred, it seems like your expertise is really going to be a little bit more beneficial to Leif and what he's got going on. We're going to shift you over there. Now, do you want to do this every 2 weeks? No, obviously not. But to put someone in a position or task organized in a certain way and have it flexible dispositions, that's exactly what it is the smart way to do things. And obviously it's with a flexible plan as well.